I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your
The rolling hills east of Toronto mark the halfway point through the 2026 season as we celebrate the 159th birthday of the True North. Hi, hello, and good afternoon, race fans. It's a perfect day in Bowmanville, Ontario, as we welcome you to the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for stop number 6 of the 2026 season of the NR2003 FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship, the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic. A pleasant good afternoon and happy Canada Day Eve to everyone tuning into today's intercast of FMGTC Racing right here on your home for the FMGTC, the North American Sim Racing Network. Live on the NESRN, my name is Trey Wright, and today marks the midway point of the season at Mosport, and the trials and tribulations of this billowing 10-turn roller coaster of a track have proven to be even too much for some of the best drivers in the FMGTC, hence some of the results we saw in qualifying yesterday. More on that later on in the pre-race show, but it has been nearly 2 months since our last Grand Touring race, and plenty of storylines have changed both on the track for Grand Touring as well as off the track. Of course, this being the first race since the unfortunate passing of driver Kyle Busch all the way back in late May. So many things have changed off the track, and we are finally glad to be back for the Grand Touring Championship. And the number 18 of Landon Walker, he's going to be carrying the torch for that 18 car, as he's got the Kyle Busch number 18 on that Xfinity Ford Mustang for GT Daytona. But the Mexico City race from nearly 2 months ago came down to who could survive the chaos at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, and it turned out the 59 of Owen Miles was the one to survive a late race charge from the 5 of Caleb Rose to win for GT Le Mans, while Eric Blaze redeemed himself from his late race choke at the Old Spice Raceway on the Easter Grand Prix to win in solid fashion for GT Daytona, outlasting another late charge from the 99 of Nathan Buchanan, who dominated that race. As we approach the middle point of the season, looking first at the GT Le Mans standings after 5 races, and with that win, Owen Miles slingshotted his way up to the top of the standings with his second win of 2026. He and Bradley Ream have pulled away a little bit from Kyle Wood, Mateus Bento, and Chris Harvey, as those two have gained a little bit of a gap over Kyle Wood, Mateus Bento, and Chris Harvey. Harvey, the only driver that is less than a full race's worth of points behind Owen Miles coming into today for GT Le Mans. And of course, all 5 of those drivers inside the top 5 in the standings all start in the top 10 positions, with Kyle Wood starting in 2nd here today, Chris Harvey starting in 4th, Bradley Ream in the 40 car will start in 6th, Owen Miles will start in 8th. For all 5 of those drivers, looking to have really good points days today for GT Le Mans. Down the order a little bit, despite missing 2 races on the season, a solid result at AHR has given Eric Monaco the 6th spot in the point standings. John Andrew, Russell Blaze, Nathan Stapleton, and Philip Torres currently round out the top 10 in the points, and we have currently have only a handful of drivers, only about the top half of the field, and not even maybe the top third of the grid for GT Le Mans, still within a relatively decent way of potentially winning the championship. Of course, the top 5 drivers in the standings are the favorites, with Owen Miles looking for his first ever GTLM championship for the junior driver who's been here all 3 seasons of FMGTC competition. Of course, all these drivers looking for their first championships as well. But GT Le Mans has been close, not as close as GT Daytona has been. If we take a look at the GTD standings, Nathan Buchanan back in the points lead despite having no wins yet this season. He had a 5-point lead over Eric Blaze coming into today. But Eric Blaze, for the first time in 2026, if I believe, has missed a race. He did not qualify for the race in Q yesterday, and he is going to lose a lot of ground to Nathan Buchanan, who will start deep in the grid in the 19th spot for GT Daytona. Aaron Abel, however, will start on the outside pole for GTD. He is the defending winner of this race at Mosport, and he looks to be in prime position to possibly gain the points lead today. He's only 49 points back of Nathan Buchanan, Dylan Matthews, and Rogel Dorn. Also in the race here today, Matthews in that 26 machine will be starting in 6th, and Rogel Dorn will be starting right in front of that UPS Mustang in the 4th spot for the 75. Looking down the order, second consecutive race that Dylan Abrahamian has failed to qualify in the 25. He'll be out of the show. Alexander Rose back on the grid for an FMGTC race for the first time in 3 months in that 88 car. He, Chikira Takashi, Damian Karanka, who starts on the pole position, and Lauren Martinez all inside the top 10. Quiet drivers for most of them, of course. Rowe, Takashi, and Eric Blaze, the only drivers inside the top 10 that have wins in 2026. And a lot can change here at Mosport. And that's exactly what we're going to see here today. Is the next 2 tracks this week are known for their elevation of both Mosport as well as Watkins Glen. We'll talk about that race coming up this Saturday afternoon a little bit later on. But Mosport certainly has a Morgan Wallen feeling with the up-downs, and up-downs. It is practically a roller coaster for the first half of the course, especially going down into turn number 3, the deepest part of the course down in Quebec Corner, and immediately going way up the racetrack to the highest corner at Mosport, turn 5 of the Moss Corner. Turns 8 through 10, however, have been where we've seen the most calamity in years past, especially off turn 9, heading towards the pit area for the entrance of White's Corner, where drivers tend to clip one another coming into the pits and end their races in the tire stacks. But we were in celebration mode for our last race in Mexico 2 months ago for Cinco de Mayo, and as luck would have it, I haven't really thought about it until now. We're in the middle of our National Pride trio of races between Cinco de Mayo and May for Mexico, Canada Day up here in Canada for late June, early July, and of course our firecracker at the Glen on the 4th of July at Watkins Glen. So we've got a little bit of national pride for the middle portions of this season in 2026 as we've had in years past. But it's Canada's time to shine today, this afternoon, and the Bowmanville natives as well as the surrounding drivers from the great true north of Canada have come to party here on the eve of Canada's 159th birthday. It's time to turn them on and grid them up. We send things down trackside for the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for race number 6 of the FMGTC season, the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic at Mosport.
Drivers, start your engines!
42 cars come to life on the pit lane of the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. 21 Le Mans cars and 21 Daytonas ready to do battle for 62 laps here in Mosport. It's Bruno Giacomo with his first pole position of the season, looking for his first ever win in the FMGTC as well as on the NESRN. He starts the inside of the 49 of Kyle Wood, looking to gain the points lead today with a solid finish. They make up the front row for GT Le Mans. Russell Blaze and Chris Harvey, row number 2, and rounding out the starting 6 for GTLM, the 40 and the 45 of Bradley Ream and Sarah Taylor, respectively. For the faster GTLM cars, I say that with a little bit of hesitancy, though, as yesterday in GT Daytona, Damian Karanka putting together a 2-second faster lap for the slower GT Daytona cars in qualifying. He's going to start on the pole position for GTD with Aaron Abel to his outside in that Alcoa number 98 Dodge Viper. Connor Monaco and Rogel Dorn in row number 2 with Carson Miller and Dylan Matthews in the 3rd row. GT Daytona as the field will rumble through Clayton Corner and Quebec Corner. The deepest portion of the course, Clayton Corner, is going to be another area where we're going to see a lot of fireworks happen. And you can definitely tell with the elevation that we've got here up and down the rolling hills of Eastern Ontario do not play. Up through the Moss Corner. Highest portion of the track for turns 5A through 5C. Everybody will roll off and head down the Mario Andretti straightaway, where these drivers entering turn 8 to go through the S's are going to be going as fast as possible. Going at a high 6th gear, coming under the Mobile One bridge, up the hill they go. And it's going to be 62 laps of action. around this just under 2.5 mile, 10-turn road course here in Ontario. Pinto window is going to be about 22 to 25 laps on a full tank of gas. Tire wear wise, we might see them come down a little bit earlier, and we have seen in the past this could potentially turn into a 3-stop fuel mileage race late in the running. Take a look at the 2 winners for both classes here previously. Eric Monaco and Michael Lewis, neither of them qualified in Q yesterday for GT Le Mans, so we will have a brand new winner in Ontario for GTLM. Ryan Durrani and Aaron Abel, they're both in the race. Durrani will start deep in the Daytona field in 17. Aaron Abel starts on the outside pole in second. Pace cars down the pit lane as Bruno Diacomo, like we said, looking for that first ever win on the NASRN. We'll see if he can do it here today in the Great White North of Canada. Let's go racing in Bowmanville. Here we go. Great jump on the inside lane for Bruno Diacomo as he will lead the field through the Clayton corner for the opening time. Everybody gets underway for GT Le Mans and for GT Daytona. They're trying to make their way through as up in front it's still Damian Caranco as they'll go through Quebec corner for the opening time under speed. Looks like everybody will get through nice and orderly. Diacomo was the first one to the line, and here we go up through the Moss corner for the opening time under speed. Here comes Chris Harvey underneath the 49 of Wood. Those two side by side, and Harvey will take that spot away from the 49. We've got 3 wide just about as Caleb Rose. You know how aggressive he likes to get here in Canada in years past. He tried to make it 3 wide underneath Philip Torres and Logan Williams. Williams will win that battle. Up through the Mario Andretti straightaway goes the field here on the opening lap of the race, and going into the S's. This is going to be the biggest trouble spot for these drivers all afternoon long. Up through turns 9 and 10, James Lawson a little bit wide, but it looks like everybody, for the most part, as we got 1 car in the tire barriers, it's Jakira Takashi and 1 Carlos Espinoza. And on lap number 1 of the day, as Emily York Watson has spun into the pit area and hits the invisible wall. No matter how many times we try and fix that wall at Mosport, they somehow phase through it. And Emily York Watson will end her day deep in the field in that 08 car. Tough break for her. She started this race in the 12th spot and will finish in 21st. For that Intel Jaguar. Already 3 cars are going to be knocked out of the race. You'll see the replays of what happened. And that's really a gut punch for Shakira Takashi, who won 2 months ago at Old Spice. She's 8th in the standing. She's not going to be 8th in the points for long after today. GT Daytona, it's always a battleground with these cars starting midway through the field, but a really good start so far for Damian Caranco. But he has fallen back a little bit. He's fallen back into the 3rd spot as Connor Monaco. And Dylan Matthews will make their way up into the top spots for GT Daytona. Looking back through here, you don't want to go double file. There's a couple of slower Le Mans cars. Did not get off to a good start, one of them being Joey Hightower in that 27 off track. That was Igor Barreto. Nearly went into the tire barriers off turn 10. Shakira Takashi, Juan Carlos Espinoza, and Emily York Watson all out of the race. And we failed to mention it in qualifying yesterday, but the Takashi sisters really don't fare well with the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. You remember last year, I believe it was Takashi, when Kasumi was driving the 46 car, she ended up flipping upside down in turn number 10, and a car way off track. That's Bryce Egan in the 16. I have no idea how he ended up on the inside wall. How did he get there? Well, you guys will find out. I don't see any openings. How? Well, I can't say that I have ever seen a car end up on the inside of the Moss corner wall. Oh, Mosport, my beloved. And that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for Bryce Egan. He has not had a good last 2 weeks. James Lawson down the pit lane. I believe he may have had something to deal with that incident. But Egan, who he had a Hail Mary final lap in qualifying yesterday, was ultimately the driver that knocked out Kasumi Takahashi, funny enough. I don't know. I'm trying to see where he could potentially end up. Oh, you know what? He probably went wide going through turn 4 and nearly clipped an ambulance. That's probably what happened. I've never seen a car go through that entrance. Again, we've only done 3 races here at Mosport, but I've never seen that. And of course, there's no LP to try and get out of there, so that's going to kill Bryce Egan's race. And that'll relegate him down to 20th in GT Le Mans. So much happening in the middle of the field. And we have yet to really talk about our race leader, Bruno Giacomo, who will lead lap number 5 of the afternoon. Lap number 4, I should say. We haven't completed 5 laps just yet. But he and Chris Harvey have pulled away from Russell Blaze and company. Blaze looking for his second win of the season. He was the GT Le Mans winner at the Old Spice High Endurance Raceway, as the Blaze brothers essentially trading wins that week 2 months ago. So he goes underneath the Continental Tire Bridge, and we have had quite a few shakeups in here. Kyle Wood has dropped back into the 4th spot after starting in 2nd. Bradley Ream will drop. He'll raise up to 5th as he and Sarah Taylor swap spots on the initial start. Mike Vincent Jr. up in the 7th spot for the defending series champion. He is in desperate need of a good run today in that 78 car. It has not been a good year for the defending GT Le Mans champion. I believe this is only his 3rd race he has made here in 2026. Of course, made the Daytona 2.4 as the defending winner of that race. Finished in 16th after flipping late in the running. And he made the race at Papyrus, where he did get a top 5 finish, but other than that, 3 DNQs on the season have relegated him very deep in the point standings, 25th in the standings for Vincent Jr. And he's 313 points behind. And that's really where we've seen a lot of drivers have issues, is that qualifying session with the new rules here for 2026 for the FMGTC. And it's really snake-bitten drivers like Mike Vincent Jr., Eric Monaco, and Zachary Fitzwater. 3 drivers, they were all fighting for the championship last year, and they were all drivers that, of course, Monaco being a series champion in his own right as well. You know, you would think that the drivers with that experience wouldn't have a whole lot of issue with that, but Vincent Jr. only his 3rd race made of the season of 6 races, as he's trying to be passed by the 59 of Owen Miles for that 7th spot. It's very weird. Meanwhile, you've got guys, I believe Russell Blaze has made every start this season. No, he didn't. You know what? I completely forgot Russell Blaze did not make the Daytona 2.4, and he did not make the race at Papyrus for the Duncan New England Grand Prix. Of course, he's more towards the bottom. Actually, you know what? He's in 8th in the standings despite missing 2 races, and that can really a good finish and a slew of good finishes here in the FMGTC can really turn your season around. You know, to whatever doldrums you were in. You know, look at Russell Blaze, for example. You know, even look at Eric Monaco. Monaco has missed, I think, 3 races here this season. You know, he missed Willow Springs, he missed Papyrus, and he's only missed, well, I mean, this would make race number 3 that he has missed. But he's still in 6th in the standings. I don't think he's going to be there for long. It's James Lawson out and away. Bryce Egan finally off of the pit lane, 2 laps down. He's still in the race, and he can still catch a couple of cars DNFing for GT Le Mans. Again, there is a long way to go in this race. 55 laps will remain once the field will cross under the flag stand this time by. Back up front for GT Daytona. And it is Connor Monaco. Has not had a whole lot of success here in 2026. Still looking for his first career win. Here he is in that TNT Man 93 machine, and Dylan Matthews right behind him. And you know what? Dylan Matthews, another driver, hasn't had as much trouble with the qualifying as some of the other veterans have had. But of course, she's still looking for her third crack at a championship after being the presumptive favorite for the GT Daytona Championship the last few years. Falling up just short in the end, she is hoping and praying that third time is the charm. But, you know, she and Aaron Abel is trying to find where that 98 car went. Abel, ever since the start, he has dropped back immensely. He is currently down in the 10th spot for GT Daytona. He didn't get a good start whatsoever. He's trying to make his way up. Same thing with Damian Caranco as Harrison Fox will move to the inside of the 21. Those two tantalizingly close to banging fenders. You don't want to do that in turn number 9. We've already seen 2 cars knocked out of the race because of that. It's Igor Barreto and Alexander Rowe making their way around the track. You know, Igor Barreto, he has been really strong as of late in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. In fact, both these drivers inside the top 10 in the standings after our most recent race at Papyrus. You know, getting a gander at the MBCS standings here in just a moment. You know, these two, you know, Alexander Rowe, he's always been touch and go in the FMGTC as he goes a little bit wide off the corner going through Clayton and Quebec. But Alexander Rowe, of course, he's got a couple of wins in the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship. Igor Barreto does not. Of course, Barreto was the favorite to try and get the race win, or the championship in the Loves American Truck Series. Came up just short of that affair to Roberto Crown Jr.'s Alexander Rowe. He lost a lot of time. Does he have an issue in the 88? He does not. He just completely botched the exit of turn 5. And that'll be the end of that battle. But the points coming out of Papyrus as Ryan Durrani, defending winner from 2 seasons ago. He and Marcus Glitch, those 2 Ford Mustangs, getting accustomed to one another. So they're battling around here, coming out of turn 10, White's corner. But again, you look at the FMGTC standings, you know, Zachary, or the MBCS standings, Igor Barreto and Alexander Rowe, they're both top 10 in the point standings. You have Bryce Egan, who's, funnily enough, in front of these drivers. There he is in the 16. It seems like whenever we have drivers have success in the FMGTC, they don't have a whole lot of success in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, and pretty much vice versa. When you're successful in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, but you don't have a whole lot of success in the FMGTC. You know, of course, Eric Monaco is kind of the antithesis to that battle, as Monaco, a champion in the FMGTC, and he just recently surpassed Keegan Thompson as the all-time winningest driver on the North American Sim Racing Network. Reggie Fogelman up inside the top 10 again. He did not make the race today in car number 16, and car number 11, I should say. And we go back down ahead. You know, Dylan Matthews, another driver that has had a horrible season in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series so far. Currently 40th in the point standings coming out of Papyrus. Talked about that 26 car, 4th in the standings. She's been so good at these Grand Touring races. She's trying to battle for that race lead here in GT Daytona. She is right on the back bumper of that 93 car. We're going to go on board with Dylan Matthews. We'll take you for a lap around Mosport. This battle for the GT Daytona lead, Bruno Diacomo has opened himself up to a 1.1 second gap over Chris Harvey. So we'll focus a little bit on here as Matthews didn't get off the corner good whatsoever. That's going to allow Monaco to boot Scoot and Boogie away. And here comes Titan Nicholas going side by side for second in GT Daytona. Nicholas will say thank you very much, and Matthews will go from fighting for the race lead to falling all the way deep in the standings back down to third. Nicholas looking for his best result for the rookie driver for the Stunod 41 Dodge Viper. Matthews looking to get back. Not able to do so as Nicholas will take that third spot away in GT Daytona, and Connor Monaco will extend his lead to about 3/4 of a second over the 41 car now. Meanwhile, Chris Harvey gaining in by about 1/10 of a second there. Actually, Dylan Matthews, no, she doesn't have hood damage. I thought she had a little bit of hood damage, but that's just how this Mustang is kind of built on the front end. We'll see if Monaco will find a way around this 41 car going up through Moss. Might have the inside, might have a little bit of a ledge. Going wide as the 41. Here comes Landon Walker. Walker's going to get the run on the inside coming around turn 5. And how about Priya McShane? We didn't mention this 22 car at all during qualifying yesterday. Here she is inside the top 10. She's looking to be inside the top 5 as we're side by side, a 4-pack quartet, all gunning for that second spot, and that's exactly what Connor Monaco wants to see. Landon Walker will take second. Priya McShane nearly making some contact with the 41 of Nicholas. And just in the span of about 2 laps, Dylan Matthews will fall down from second to 5th. And turn number 5 has not been her friend today, and Mike Vincent Jr. is down in the pit area. Trouble for the 78, or is it? We're on lap 13, and these drivers should be able to go about 22 to 25 laps on a tank of gas. So Blaze short pitting here on lap 13. And does that bring anybody else down the pit lane? None of the Daytona cars made the trip into the service area as Landon Walker will move up to second. Oh, not a great exit there off turn 5 for the 93, but Landon Walker had the same fate befall him. Priya McShane will move up into the penultimate position for GT Daytona. And I think this is the first time we've really been focusing almost exclusively on the GT Daytona field. It's Titan Nicholas trying to gain that podium spot back. Meanwhile, Dylan Matthews into the clutches of Rogel Dorn, Damian Karanko and company. Harrison Fox on the inside. He's going to bang fenders with a pole sitter of Karanko. That could have got close, a little too close for comfort, especially on these worn BF Goodriches. But only 3 cars out of the race so far, and Matthews continuing to hemorrhage spots. She's now going to fall outside the top 5. She is being reeled in by Aaron Abel's 98 machine. Meanwhile, Nathan Buchanan, all this happening right in front of the 99. It's Buchanan 15th for Nathan Buchanan's Menards 99, the current points leader. Rogel Dorn also in the middle of that battle as well, as he's gotten around the 26 car too. And Priya McShane looking to set up shop. Harrison Fox wide through Moss. Here comes Bucky Campbell. Campbell looking for his first career top 10 finish after making his second consecutive race. I believe this is the second race Bucky Campbell has made, either second or third. It is the second consecutive race he has made. He finished in 20th after wrecking out early at Mexico City. And Damian Karanko, he's got a moment. He's off track, and the pole sitter hard in the tire barriers. Just a little bit of contact is going to end the day of that Screamin' Eagle Harley-Davidson Mustang. I believe it was himself and Harrison Fox that just got a little bit together. And that is gut-wrenching. The amount of damage on that Mustang. He missed the entrance of the pits, and he is going to be a moving chicane for the next mile or so, and that is tough. Just a little bit of contact. You saw it live and you'll see it again. You know, just a smidge, a little door slam, and we saw those two getting way too comfortable with one another throughout the entirety of this race, and especially these last couple of laps. Finally, it was just a little too hard on the shot there, and Karanka is going to fall back. Lauren Martinez trying to find a way around this 21 car. And that'll likely knock him out of the event. Meanwhile, McShane with a big amount of drafting help right on the back end of the 93. She's got to be careful going around through the S's. And she will tiptoe around the tulips. Not able to get around Monaco just yet. Meanwhile, in GT Le Mans, we have not talked about GTLM whatsoever in this race as Karanko. He'll come down the pit lane, and that'll be the end of the afternoon for the pole sitter. That is just so heartbreaking. For a car that looked absolutely lightning fast in qualifying, to not being able to really do anything just yet. But Russell Blaze, he's got the fastest lap for GT Le Mans, a 1:15. Compared to the 1:14s we were seeing in GT Daytona qualifying yesterday. They're running in the 1:17 race bracket. Karanko will retire. He'll join Shakira Takashi and Juan Carlos Espinoza in the GT Daytona garage area. Emily York Watson still the only car knocked out of the race for GT Le Mans after that opening lap incident. Everybody trying to maneuver around the 16 of Bryce Egan and Mike Vincent Jr. on those fresher tires, and everybody else has got 13-lap newer BF Goodriches. Of course, you put a Le Mans car on fresher tires in the middle of a field of Daytonas. He is going to be very quick, and he's going to be very aggressive. He bumps off the 88, keeps it on the road. So the last thing you want if you're Mike Vincent Jr. is to have your strategy as Titan Nicholas down the pit lane. You don't want to have your strategy completely upended by a slower Daytona car that you just hit the quarter panel of, and Nicholas, who was in third, will drop down the pit lane. Will be the first GT Daytona car to hit the pit lane here on lap 17. Meanwhile, Bruno Giacomo down on lap 17. He'll bring Russell Blaze with him. It looks like once again, we are going to be seeing a 3 pit stop race here at Mosport. I think the majority of these drivers are remembering what happened on Saturday at Papyrus, where they had to come down the pit lane. They were hedging their bets almost every 8 or 9 laps just to make it to the end of that race. 5 cars will hit the pit area for GT Le Mans. Make it 6 as Roberto Crown Jr. and Anthony Joseph will become the 7th. Monaco still trying to shake off McShane. Out and away goes the 12. Giacomo will come out, still out in front of the GT Daytona leaders. Chris Harvey will remain out on track for now, and he's got a pretty big lead over Kyle Wood. Historically, the undercut has been the way to go at Canadian Tire, if memory serves me right. It's most of the Daytona field. You got Rogel Dorn, Carson Miller, a handful of other drivers all coming down. And here on lap 18, we're going to have this the 8 car come down the pit lane of Chris Harvey. Same thing with Kyle Wood, Sarah Taylor, and it looks like the majority of the Le Mans cars that stayed out will come down on lap 18. So it looks like this will turn into a 3-stop race. There is Harvey in the 8 car. Just coming down through turns 9 and 10 is Bruno Giacomo. Turn number 9 goes the 12. And Chris Harvey, they're in the pit lane. We'll see Jack is dropped on the 8 car. He is out and away, and we can hear Bruno Giacomo coming. Giacomo has got a full head of momentum on higher warmed-up tires. Chris Harvey right now will beat out Bruno Giacomo off of the pit lane. We'll see if Giacomo is able to close the gap on those fresher rubber. Chris Harvey is going to give us our first lead change of the afternoon in GT Le Mans. GT Daytona, however, it's feed and time, this time on the pit lane, as pretty much everybody in GTD down on lap 19. We'll see you as Connor Monaco will come down. He is going to have a little bit of gap between himself and Priya McShane. Dylan Matthews down as well. Here comes Titan Nicholas, who came down a few laps earlier than everybody else. Trying to use the 22 of Anthony Joseph as a little bit of a battering ram around the field. Joseph driving around Dylan Matthews, and that'll put Nicholas up in the second spot. We'll see, can he use him to try and slingshot his way around the 93. Monaco still trying to get under speed. These guys got to be careful going up through Moss. You've got a faster Daytona car, or a faster Le Mans car right behind this Daytona. And it looks like we had some contact in turn 5. Monaco being forced off the track. Same thing with Nicholas. Here comes the 26. Dylan Matthews trying to take advantage of all those cars going wide. Joseph will peek to the inside of Monaco. Dylan Matthews trying to ride the express lane to the race lead in GTD. It's going to be close. A little contact there between her and Nicholas. This guy's got to be careful. She's got to be careful. She's going to have the inside. Here's the race battle for the race lead in GT Daytona. They're side by side. Dylan Matthews will get the lead off the corner. And meanwhile, back out front for GT Le Mans, Bruno Diacomo has been surpassed by the 8. Bruno Diacomo has gotten around the 8 of Chris Harvey. So Harvey will be back in second. Russell Blaze will try and collect that 8 car, but it's Bruno Diacomo. As we had a slew of cars down the pit lane, we saw quite a few drivers, or quite a few skid marks in turn 5, and I believe that's where Riley Sampson, the most recent winner on the NASRN, Landon Walker, and Mike Vincent Jr. had an issue. Another tough result for the defending champion. And for Riley Sampson, who has had an up and down 2026 too in that 36 car. He's going to be knocked out of contention, and same thing for Landon Walker. Tough break for that Kyle Busch vaunted 18 car. We're just about a third of the way through the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Glad to have everybody in the booth as we're a half hour into the race. And for GT Daytona, or rather GT Le Mans, it's been business as usual with Bruno Diacomo out front. Chris Harvey got a couple of laps led there on the pit strategy. Meanwhile, as Bryce Egan will make his second pit stop of the race, he is very much off strategy with everybody else. You go back in here, it has still been a very big fight, as somehow, well, I'm not sure how this happened, but Dylan Matthews has gotten around Connor Monaco. I believe she made the pass in turn 5, and Monaco now will fall back into the clutches of everybody else. You know who's inside the top 10? Aaron Abel. He might get inside the top 5 coming through this corner. Nicholas way wide through 5. Shane's going to get the green light on through. Same thing with Abel. Can he get enough of a run going up through the Andretti straightaway? He's not going to get the run going down the backstretch through turn 6, 7, and 8. He might get a run going through 9. That 98 car is running so well today. Say that now, but knock on wood, still a lot of time to go. We got 41 laps remaining here in Canada. But I'm liking this 98 car as he's currently in the 5th spot. Actually, 7th. Make it 7. So he's inside the top 10. Compared to where he started this race in second, how far he fell back to 15th. He'll take 7th for now. Of course, he's looking to retain his winning presence here at Mosport. He's right behind that 41 Stunod car. Connor Monaco trying to chase the rear end of this 26, but everybody, especially up through Moss, this has been the biggest area where drivers have been making their passes all day long, especially in the middle of this pack. Got Ryan Durrani trying to make his way through. He's towards the back end of the grid in GT Daytona. You got Roberto Crown Jr. trying to find a way around the 75. Crown Jr. trying to do some slicing and dicing in that 33. Dorn not letting him go by just yet eventually, and now he's got the inside of Dorn. Walker still on the pit lane. It's Mike Vincent Jr., Riley Sampson, they have been towed back, so they've been towed back to their pit stalls and they have been released. They'll be 2 laps off the pace. That'll end their afternoons. They're still ahead of Bryce Egan, who's still 2 laps down, but was behind all of them. We'll have to see if the timing and scoring will shake out, and now an issue for Chris Harvey. I'm not sure if this is an issue or just short pitting for the 8 car. But Harvey, who was running in second, back down the pit lane, only about 6 or 7 laps after he came down for his first stop. And you know what I'm thinking? 24 to go. These guys came down on lap 17. I believe Harvey came down. He came down on lap 18. So trying to do it once again. You know, I think if he came down maybe 1 more lap, he could do it on only 2 more stops. But everybody's going to have to make 2 stops regardless. I mean, it's going to be a 3-stop race for everybody, and I don't see the vision on that strategy. I mean, we saw a similar strategy from Christopher Bell at Pocono a couple of weeks ago. Of course, you know, that's Pocono. There's caution flags, and there's things to worry about, especially it's Pocono. It's the next-gen car. Then again, the next-gen car does race a lot like a sports car. I don't see the vision on that 8 team, especially given where they were running. I feel like if they were on a solid, decent strategy to where they were, they'd get second, and they definitely need a solid finish as well. Again, you're 5th in the standings. You need a lot of points. As Owen Miles, you know, he's right behind you. You need this 50. You need as many points as you can get on this 59. And going off strategy like that, it is, in a word, a very bold strategy. But Miles right now in a good spot to potentially take or retain the points lead. Kyle Wood currently in the 4th spot, I should say. He's 3rd in the standings, 4th on track. Bradley Ream currently runs in 3rd. Trying to find Mateus Bento's 20 machine. He's deep in the field, back in 9th. And we talked about it again in qualifying yesterday. Bento needs a run like today. He needs a good top 10 run because this team has been snake-bitten by bad luck and bad finishes in the MBCS ever since our last race here in the FMGTC. You know, you look at where this 71 car is in the point standings, 21st. For a driver that we touted as was going to be a championship favorite throughout the opening 15 races of the season. But ever since that, it has just been a complete downward spiral. He's at the point where he's likely going to need another win in that 71 car if he wants a chance at even the wild card. Because currently Brennan Wilmington and Eric Monaco hold the 2 wildcard positions. Monaco holds it on by just a smidge over Keegan Thompson. But he just needs a good run today, just trying to knock out the cobwebs and get himself focused for Thursday's race at Boston. He's knocked down the F in the Duncan Month of Speed tournament very early on in the first round. He's just not qualified well, and with how short some of these MBCS races are, you know, Hillside and Papyrus are kind of bad examples because track position is the only thing that matters there. Track position and keeping your car in one piece are the 2 things that are just key components of getting just a top 10 finish. He wasn't able to accomplish that. It's Carson Miller, speaking of drivers that have had adventures in race car driving. He's down the pit lane. It looks like he got rear-ended or at the back end of somewhere out on track. Not sure if anybody gave him a little bit of a bump, but that'll end his competitive day. And he was running in the 12th spot at the time, and he's not going to be down there for long. James Lawson, he's off strategy of everybody else as well. He and Priya McShane a little close for comfort there. Oh, running up right on the O2 was the 98 of Abel. Fortunately for him, he wasn't able to get to the inside of him. Off the line with one another, Abel will get around the O2. Well, move him up a couple of spots. James Lawson currently one lap down, so that isn't even for position. We go back up here and go for the race lead. Connor Monaco going wide off track. And here we go. It is a three-way battle for the race lead in GT Daytona. Or it's Matthews, Monaco, Dorn, McShane, Abel, all in line with one another. And I think Abel is going to be put up in this battle relatively soon because he is being pushed by two faster DTLM Toyotas. Tight Nicholas has fallen back of expectations right now. Bucky Campbell off track. Will Parrish will let him on by in the 20. Monaco still trying to catch that rear end of Dylan Matthews around through the corner, and Carson Miller back out on track. He is currently just one lap down. Currently at least just one lap down in terms of the GTLM drivers. He is still on the lead lap barely in terms of the GT Daytona cars. And back up here, it has still been the Bruno Diacomo show. However, he has been rapidly closed in a lot by this 86 of Russell Blaze. He had a nearly 2-second lead that last time by. I'm not sure what happened. Something happened to the 12. I think he didn't get well off the corner in turn 5. And Russell Blaze came, saw, and he's trying to conquer that 12 machine for the race lead. So we'll go on board with Russell Blaze. It's now catching up to lap down traffic. Lauren Martinez in the way of Bruno Diacomo, and we'll see what Blaze can do. Couple of Mission Barbecue Cup Series drivers trying to battle it out for the race lead in GT Le Mans. And Bruno Diacomo's got to be careful getting around this 00 of Martinez. Blaze is there. He's on the back end of the 12. Oh, they're both wide off the corner. Here comes Bradley Ream. Out of nowhere comes the 40. He's going to get the 2-for-1 Tim Hortons special and go from third to first in only one corner. How about that? I didn't even realize Bradley was that close to these drivers. And he'll say, thank you very much. I'm going to take the race lead as you guys bobble off 5. Oh boy. Well, Bruno Diacomo, as now he's going to get turned into the pit wall there for the race lead. He is going to go into the wall, and the points leader or the race leader and dominant driver of the day gets turned by the 86. And in a shower of sparks in the pit wall goes the pole sitter. And now both pole sitters for the Canada Day Classic in the wall and out of the race. That is just nothing short of heartbreaking. And Bruno Diacomo, he had led 26 laps today. It's all gonna go down the toilet. And this race lead for Bradley Ream might go down the toilet soon. He's able to get around Martinez. Blaze looking for a ledge around, but that is just heartbreaking for Diacomo. Gets passed for the race lead once. And this is going to completely open the door for everybody. You got Ream, you've got Blaze, you've got Kyle Wood and Sarah Taylor. And don't count out Owen Miles as well. The more these guys run into the back of lap traffic, the more we are going to have a lot of fun here today. But a driver not having fun, Russell Blaze in that number, or rather, Bruno Giacomo out of the race. And he will go from dominating the race to finishing in 20th. And that is tough. Well, and just as we're talking about everything getting on, Connor Monaco, what happened to Monaco? He is falling really off the pace. He is falling off a lot. He's outside the top 5. Titan Nicholas trying to get to his inside. You know, we haven't seen it here a lot, but just you get a really bad exit off turn 5. That completely screws you for the remainder of the lap. Yeah, because it's all about keeping your momentum going through the corner, especially going on that straightaway. But man, what a race it has been, as we're just getting to the halfway point of the Canada Day Classic. In case you're just tuning in, both pole sitters knocked out of the event. Owen Miles will move inside the top 4. And he will try and get to the inside of Lauren Martinez. 31 laps in the books. With 31 to go, you can cue the Bon Jovi here in the Garden State where we're producing this race. Here in Canada, I believe there's probably some Stompin' Tom Connors song come out getting to halfway. We're halfway there, the whole team and the whole crew and the whole grid right now trying to live on a prayer. And this has been nothing short of entertaining all throughout today. Connor Monaco continuing to fall back. And meanwhile, it is still Dylan Matthews with a sizable lead in the GT Daytona category. Priya McShane, Rogel Dorn rounding out the podium right now for GTD. Those two both might be coming down the pit lane relatively soon. Have to see, is Titan Nicholas going to hit the pit lane? He's going to stay out. Nicholas, remember, he was the first car to come down of any driver. With all the lap traffic that we've got, you know, just everybody is on different strategies, this is going to be very, very interesting. And now Nathan Buchanan also knocked out of the race. Something amiss on the 99. Oh my goodness, the points leader for GT Daytona is going to end up in the garage area. I don't even know what happened there. I think that's the first retiree that we have not seen live in this race. I can't believe it took us all the way up until the halfway point of the race to finally miss an incident where somebody retires. Usually it's the other way around here in Mosport because we're focused on GT Le Mans way too much. It's been the opposite. You know, all the action has been happening in GT Daytona, but again, turn 5 has been the point of contention for so many drivers. It's been the action spot today. As Ream right now, heavy lap traffic in the way. And these drivers, Anthony Joseph will be down the pit lane. I believe he might be the one to begin this cycle. Coming around, Bradley Ream will come down, as will Kyle Wood. Russell Blaze will stay out. He will retain the race lead. Remember, he was on that overcut strategy. Bradley Ream jumping strategies past the halfway point in the race. And these cars will have to make an additional pit stop. They cannot make it to the end. And here with 29 laps to go, this is gonna get interesting. 4 tires going all the way around that Boston Red Sox 40 car. And he'll be out and away. He'll get out ahead of Sarah Taylor. Jack has dropped on Kyle Wood's 49 machine. Solid 14.33 pit stop. Kyle Wood with a 14.28 though. It's not going to be enough for him to get the point or the race lead off of the pits. We'll see if we get any Daytona cars coming next time around. We do not. These guys got to be careful coming off of the pit lane. Miles, has got to be gingerly trying to get around this 49 of Wood. Priya McShane down the pit lane, as are Abel and Dorn. Dylan Matthews will stay out for the overcut. Rowe, Monaco, Nicholas, Fox, Durrani, Hightower, all down the pit lane for GT Daytona and one GTLM car. Rose, Martinez, and Bento also in the pit area. Riley Sampson, who is currently 2 laps down, off sequence of everybody else. Angel Gutierrez also down in the 9A machine, and Anthony Joseph will try and pick up a couple of spots on pit lane, being off strategy compared to all the other drivers on the grid. Here comes Chris Harvey. Harvey down the pit lane again. He's going to have to make another pit stop. I really think that there was something wrong on that 8 car that we probably couldn't see. Ream out and away. Here comes the 40 off of the pit lane, and did he get beat off by everybody else? I don't think so. Trying to see. There's Gutierrez. Russell Blaze, I think. There is Russell Blaze. Did Blaze make his second pit stop yet? He is not. Blaze going for a massive overcut right now. There's Bradley Ream just going up through Clayton Corner in turn 2. I think Blaze is trying to stay out as long as he can, because just make sure he gets a lap led, getting as many bonus points as possible. And he should be coming down the pit lane this time, and he will, along with Logan Alexander, Marcus Glitch, and Bryce Egan. Joseph trying to push Aaron Abel past the 75 of Rogel Dorn. Dorn and Abel, they nearly touched going through 9. Nearly sideways. Trying to get the advantage on the inside is Dorn. He'll get the run on the Ford in the 98 of Aaron Abel, and now trouble in the pit lane. Roberto Crown Jr. flipping in the pit lane along with a 16 of Bryce Egan. How? Pit lane here. What is going on, guys? I have never seen a Grand Touring car flip here in Mosport on the pit lane. That's reserved. That shenanigan is reserved for Bristol or Hillside or something stupid like that. As Blaze, he's going to lose a lot of time on that overcut. He is going to have fresher tires than everybody else, but Bradley Ream will recycle out to the race lead. And in GT Daytona, as Wood moves underneath Titan Nicholas, he nearly shoves that 41 car into the moss hole. What a race. What a day it has been here at Mosport. As Dylan Matthews, still the race leader, I believe she is in the 26. Currently up to 12th. It's the only car, or one of only 2 drivers in GT Daytona that has not been put a lap down yet. She is still yet to make her second pit stop of the race. The way things are running right now, Priya McShane has been catching up on this 26 car pretty rapidly. Riley Sampson, the 78 of Mike Vincent Jr. And there is the 33. I have we caught the tail end of that as he was just about put upside down by Bryce Egan. Bad day getting worse for Egan. He's going to fall easily 3 laps down, potentially more if he is going to be knocked out of the race. There he is. He's still in the race in that 16. And that Greg Biffle tribute car. The 27 down the pit lane. I believe something amiss on Joey Hightower. He is down. Same thing with Dylan Matthews in the 26. And here is Priya McShane screaming right at the end of the Mario Andretti straightaway in turn 8. Dylan Matthews, there's the 26 car out and away. She's still got a long way to go to get off of the pit lane. McShane has the faster car. And Dylan Matthews, she's just trying to lumber her way out. Here comes McShane down on the inside. She's going to have a lot of distance over Dylan Matthews. Dylan's got to be careful coming off track. Rogel Dorn in the 75. He's going to take that second spot away, but Dylan Matthews does have the advantage in the tire wear department, but Priya McShane will cycle out to the race lead in GT Daytona. Joey Hightower back on track. He is currently 1 lap down. James Lawson still with some issues in the pit lane that he's got to cycle out, and, well, there was damage on the 86. There is damage on the 86. Russell Blaze with an issue, or is there? I can't tell. I've never seen that where a car thinks it has damage, thinks it doesn't have damage. Okay, so I think the game is registering Russell Blaze to have damage. Let's see from this. Okay, so Russell Blaze, from this angle, has rear-end damage. Goodness gracious, what a race. How many curveballs are we going to get in GT Daytona and in GT Le Mans is the biggest question. But right now, everybody besides Philip Torres has made their second stop of the day. I believe Torres is Lawson back down the pit, rather Wyatt Walker back down the pit lane. I believe Torres just now cycling around. So everybody has made their second pit stop of the day. Still one more pit stop to go, but things have been shaken up, and now Mateus Bento into the wall. He and Lorman Martinez got together. That was a heavy shot into the outside wall for the 20, and he is probably going to have to come down the pit lane for repairs. Bento, who was running in 8th at the time, with nobody around him that was even on the same lap as him. Actually, Russell Blaze is on the same lap as a 20, but oh boy. Oh my goodness, that is likely going to require an additional pit stop for Bento, and if it does, he can kiss a top 10 finish goodbye. That is, I feel like the word heartbreaking has been the name of the game today, but that is really how things have been. It's Bradley Ream in that 40 car, right in the middle of LA, thick LA traffic levels of lap traffic. See if Bento will have to come down the pit lane for that damage. And it looks like he'll stay on for now. He's trying to find a way around the 5 of Caleb Rose, and Caleb nearly sending Landon Walker into the stratosphere. Carson Miller back down the pit lane, trying to patch up that 72 Mustang a little bit more. So Roberto Crown Jr. knocked out of the race. He will join Bruno Giacomo and Emily York Watson in the GTLM garage area. Meanwhile, Blaze in his stricken 86 car, trying to move under the stricken 20 machine of Mateus Bento. A couple of rookies for the FMGTC and a couple of rookies for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series side by side. That's the battle for 8th right now. It looks like Bento is going to be on the wrong side of that battle. He's going to lose a lot of time. Russell Blaze will get the green light on the inside of turn 5. Back to the front still. In the middle of a lot of lap down traffic is Bradley Ream. He is behind Bucky Campbell. Campbell right now is trying to ride around. Right now, one of the last cars on the lead. He is on the cusp of going 2 laps down. Actually, he's in the top 5. He's right on the end of the tail end of the lead lap. He's actually in 4th for GT Daytona. So a really good run for Bucky Campbell so far. It's Bradley Ream, of course, the race leader in GT Le Mans, trying to get around this one machine. He's going to go the outside way around. Oh, this might be a chance for the 49 of Kyle Wood to strike, but he's also going to be on the outside of the 88. His top 2 in GTLM have pulled away by 6 seconds over Owen Miles, who's going to close in a couple of seconds with these drivers running in a lap traffic. Back in here, Priya McShane in her own zip code, a 2-second lead over Rogel Dorn, and almost no lap traffic in front of her. Bradley Ream, meanwhile, still can't find a way around Campbell's 1 car. Campbell still just trying to fight all covers. As Ream in the 40 will try and move around this one car, and you can see out back there is the gap between the 40 and the 49. A couple of Corvettes, 1-2. In fact, make the Chevy Corvette bow ties 1-2-3 with Owen Miles, looking for his second consecutive podium finish in the FMGTC. You know, Miles, he did close in a lot. It was about 6.7 seconds off the back end of these drivers that last time by, as Ream will finally move to the inside of Campbell, trying to get around the 22 car as well. Kyle Wood, he's going to lose a little bit of time, so that Boston Red Sox 40 car of Ream will be out and away. It'll be 20 laps to go at Mosport this next time by. Bradley Ream, Kyle Wood, Owen Miles, Sarah Taylor, and Nathan Stapleton. We haven't talked about him yet this weekend, as the big Staple looking for his best career finish in the FMGTC, if memory serves me right. Currently in the 5th spot, Logan Williams in the 6th car, hoping and praying that something does not go wrong so we can finally get a top 10 result in that Muscle Milk Jaguar. As we got cars going around, that was somebody down the front straightaway, Titan Nicholas and Sarah Taylor. Taylor, who was in 4th for GT Le Mans, runs over a lap down car. Titan Nicholas was running in 7th, and that'll end both of their days in the tire stacks going through turn 1. And for Titan Nicholas, he's going to be limping around this track pretty much the entire distance around. He's going to be in the way of a couple of drivers. Connor Monaco. I think did Monaco have to come back down the pit lane? I don't think so. But Taylor will be knocked out of the race. Same thing with Titan Nicholas. There's Taylor all the way out. Nicholas way off track. Oh, this could be an issue with Lauren Martinez catching up at a really bad time. Nicholas just trying to climb around. This is going to be close. Monaco trying to tiptoe his way around the 41. He will. Oh, that is a very, very, very slow Stunod Viper. Trying to see Priya McShane. I don't know. She might close in on this 41 based on how slow Nicholas's car is going. I don't think any of the Le Mans drivers are going to get around him. We're going to catch up to him. I don't know. And then I believe, the engine's still a little bit decent on that 41. He's just driving through the grind. He's just trying to get there as soon as humanly possible. And back down the pit lane, getting the heck out of everybody's way. And not the result you want for Titan Nicholas, but fortunately he didn't affect anybody else's race after that. And that will relegate him to an 18th place finish. He is going to put 4 tires on it. I'll not take him out of the race, and we'll see if he can try and get any repairs. They will put 4 BF Goodriches on that car. And we'll see if he can try and continue after going into the tire barriers. Meanwhile, it is quite a bar fight up in here. Russell Blaze and Mateus Bento still battling for that 7th spot. They have been side by side for the better part of the last few laps, and Mateus Bento will pull the trigger to come down the pit lane with 19 laps to go. That's right at about the ceiling for these drivers to come down the pit lane. This is going to be close for Bento if he can stretch it to the end. And everybody else is going to have to come down the pit lane again. He is going to have to repair some damage in that 20 car. So you know what? Might as well take the time now, try and patch up the right side of that Chevrolet Corvette. That is very bold. You know what? You're going to have that car full of octane racing fuel anyway, with the repairs you're making. I wouldn't be surprised to see him try and stretch it out to the end. Because again, we got 18 to go, and these guys well within the window to make their final pit stop to make it to the end. Bento out and away, a 27-second pit stop, and now Logan Williams has got an issue. We mentioned it. It seems like every single race, something goes wrong on that 6 car, and he might cause an accident going through the S's. He is slow. He and Mike Vincent Jr. slamming fenders. And Logan Williams, who was running in 5th, will have his bad luck as of late from the Mission Barbecue Cup Series re-extend himself into the MBCS, a mechanical issue, re-extend into the FMGTC. A mechanical issue on that Muscle Milk Silk 6 car will take him out of the running of a solid race. They are going to try and fix it to get him back out there for at least a top 10, top 15 run. Like we said, that is just gut-wrenching, and just the roller coaster that he has been on as well. He's currently 14th in the standings for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. You know, it's funny. We talk about both him and Mateus Bento, 2 drivers. They're both in GT Le Mans. They're both having... both had sky-high expectations in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series in the opening 10, 15 races of the season. You know, Logan Williams, you know, only a handful of weeks ago, he was still inside the top 10 in points for the MBCS. He's currently 14th, still winless, with only 5 top 10 finishes. And it's been a really tough road to hoe for that 17 team. You know, and comparing himself to Alex Sanvitale. You know, Sanvitale, he has had only 1 top 5 finish, but he has been the most consistent driver on the MBCS grid, bar none. 10 top 10 finishes, 2 more. The next best driver in line, Matthew Hubert, 23. And it's really just been that kind of day, or that kind of season. And it's been this kind of race for Priya McShane as the battle is on for the GT Daytona race lead. Dylan Matthews has caught up to the 22, as has Rogel Dorn. So as the battle in GT Le Mans will quell a little bit, we have got a menage a trois for the GT Daytona race lead. Matthews on the back end of the 22. Can she make the pass going through White's corner? She will not, but Rogel Dorn will file back in line. And these two all trying to stay on the lead lap with one another. Ream to the inside of Joey Hightower, and this is gonna be huge. Bento back out on track. He is in danger of going a lap down potentially if he's any slower, as he is trying to get around the 72 of Carson Miller. Miller has had his fair share of incidences here today, but Priya McShane trying to hold off 2 of the most hard-charging drivers in the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship, but not even in the FMGTC. These are 2 MBCS veterans. You know, Dylan Matthews, as she's going to go wide, that'll open up the door for Rogel Dorn. And the rookie driver trying to take that 75 back to victory lane for the 3rd time in that team's existence. He took over for Juan Rodriguez this past offseason. That Cohen Truck and Line 75 machine, and they are going to be gapped by Priya McShane. Matthews trying to fight hard on that outside. You don't want to fight too hard to where you get run over by the GT Le Mans leader. It's not going to matter. Bradley Ream will cut the cord. 17-6, make it 14 laps to go for Bradley Ream, and Kyle Wood will stay out an additional lap. So on lap 49, the 49 car will stay out. Bradley Ream will come down the pit lane, and this is the money stop. Here we are, Bradley Ream taking 4 fresh BF Goodrich tires. And he'll be out and away here in just one moment. Does he have any other takers down the pit lane? Owen Miles, who has some rear end damage. The points leader for GT Le Mans, running into issues. Bucky Campbell also down the pit lane. Campbell was running in 4th for GT Daytona. And Owen Miles, he is going to have a lot of damage to try and repair on that 59. He's going to lose all sorts of time on the racetrack. Kyle Wood, we'll see if he'll come down the pit lane here on lap 50. Sarah Taylor has finally pulled that 45 car out and away. McShane down the pit lane. Dylan Matthews will stay out as Rogel Dorn will come in. Matthews looking for that overcut once again. It worked out relatively well the first time. You know what? She's going to say, to heck with it. I'm going to get that fresh rubber advantage as Kyle Wood is down the pit lane for his final pit stop of the afternoon, coming around to 13 to go, and Logan Williams has gone into the tire barriers. Somewhere on track, it was with Igor Barreto. So now we're starting to see all the incidences. We're beginning to miss all the incidences on track. Somebody went around off of turn 5. You don't see that often. But this is where things get interesting. Aaron Abel down in the pit lane. Kyle Wood out and away compared to the 40 of Bradley Ream, and Ream way out in front. Ream is going to catch up and put Rogel Dorn a lap down. He'll do the same with McShane, trying to wear in and warm up those new BF Goodrich stickers. He's got to be careful driving around this 22 up through the corner. Oh, he's going to get into her. Contact there between the second place driver in GT Daytona and the leader in GT Le Mans, and they nearly took each other out late in the running, and that would have completely blown this race over. Fortunately for them, cooler heads will prevail as Matthews will come down the pit lane. No, she's going to stay out an additional lap. Barreto and Logan Williams will be out of the race, and a tough break for both those drivers. Russell Blaze in the pit lane for the final time. 13 laps to go. Make it 12 laps to go here at Mosport. Blaze just now getting to his pit stall. Stayed out as long as he could. He could not hold on that 40 car. And I believe the 5 of Caleb Rosie also came down the pit lane, so that will recycle things out. So right now, with a 6-second lead, is Bradley Ream's Boston Red Sox 40 car. He's never won a race in the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship, despite being in a championship position for the past 2 seasons. And being one of the 5 drivers inside the top 5 in the standings, a win today would be absolutely huge, especially given where everybody else is running. Kyle Wood would be second. The way things run right now, again, those two only separated by less than 20 points, 18 points coming into today, separate Bradley Ream and Kyle Wood. And Owen Miles, he's had his issues. He's dropped down to 9th. I don't believe that will be enough for those drivers to take over the point standings. But it would be enough for them to substantially close into that points lead of Owen Miles and make Watkins Glen ever so interesting. Meanwhile, for Dylan Matthews, I believe, has she stayed out? She continues to stay out. She's still only made 2 pit stops, and if you're Dylan Matthews, you've got to come down the pit lane this time by. You are losing a lot of time on these leaders. The longer you stay out, again, 10 laps to go. Again, 3 laps of fresher tires are very important. But unless you catch up to lap traffic, that's not really going to come into play. McShane, she's already up through Moss. Matthews will now come down the pit lane. And is she going to have enough time to come down the pit lane, put on 4 fresh tires, and still hold on to the points of the race lead? I really don't know. McShane with a whole lot of momentum going through turn 8. Matthews just now going on the right-hand side of that car. This is going to be Priya McShane's race lead all day long through turn number 10. Dylan Matthews, I believe she stayed out way too long. And Priya McShane will go for the race lead. Rogel Dorn will go to second. And Dylan Matthews, she is hoping and praying that Kyle Wood runs into those drivers and shakes things up. And actually, I believe Lauren Martinez is going to leapfrog the 26. Or is Martinez off the lead lap with these drivers? Actually, Martinez is currently 2 laps down. So she's off the lead lap in GT Daytona, I should say. But Kyle Wood pushing Rogel Dorn towards Priya McShane. Can Dylan Matthews catch up to these drivers with only 10 laps to go? I really don't know if she's going to have enough time. And Dorn hoping and praying that Kyle Wood can pass him, but Wood has his own demons to try and catch up to. He cannot mess around with these slower Daytona cars. He'll get around Rogel Dorn. Now he has to get around Priya McShane and Bradley Ream. He is in his own zip code out on track right now. He has nobody around him. James Lawson's down the pit lane, and the next nearest driver, Connor Monaco, just going through Clayton Corner right now. If you're Kyle Wood, you need to put the pedal to the metal, and you need to make it loud right now. He is 6.7 seconds behind the 40, and with only 9 laps to go, he is going to need an absolute miracle. Got to contact somebody. Making contact somewhere. I heard it, and it's Philip Torres who goes into the pit wall. Torres was 1 lap down. Just outside the top 10 at the time, and that will officially knock him out of the race in the 4 car. Russell Blaze right now in the middle of a lot of slower Daytona cars. That will now knock out even more drivers out of the race. We'll see, is Kyle Wood able to close in on Bradley Ream? Ream coming around the corner. He might have to get around Carson Miller. Miller might beat him out. Is Miller going to beat him out of the pit lane? He is. So Carson Miller, is Ream going to have enough momentum to get around this 72 car cleanly? He's not for the moment. He had to let off the gas. Now he'll zoom around the 72. And he gained another 0.3 of a second over Kyle Wood. Still battling with Priya McShane. McShane trying to gain as much ground as she can on the 75. Right now, only a 1.5-second lead from McShane over the 75 of Dorn. Dylan Matthews, still, she is very much out of the picture. McShane on the inside, Dorn on the outside. They're side by side. Wood trying to get the run on the outside corner, and he will. Didn't force McShane on the outside, however. She got the inside lane through that run. Now, nothing separating the 22 from the 75, and Rogel Dorn setting his sights on that Pennzoil Viper. Going around the track and seeing where everybody is right now. Philip Torres falling through the grid after retiring from the race. Joining a slew of other drivers in the garage area, Riley Sampson and Joey Hightower nearly make contact in turn 10. Caleb Rose, the Colonel, looking for a solid top 5 finish. He's going to go 3 wide. Way off the corner goes the 27. And Joey Hightower nearly cleaning house down the front straightaway. Fortunately, he's able to get out of harm's way. Owen Miles now with front-end damage. He's still remaining in 9th as the last car on the lead lap. Kyle Wood now having to try and get around this 72 as he's continuing to lose time. Meanwhile, in GT Daytona, that's been the story of the afternoon all day long. How close this battle has been in GTD. Coming around to 6 laps to go. They're on the same lap as the Le Mans cars. And Priya McShane trying to hold off Rogel Dorn. Dylan Matthews has lost touch with these top 2 drivers. She is just hoping for a miracle for these 2 to get together. But I think given Nathan Buchanan, Eric Blaze, and Aaron Abel have all had his issues today, Abel Currently, not terrible right now. As Wood will get around the 72, he has lost another half a second to Bradley Ream with 6 to go. Aaron Abel currently running in 6th. And Dylan Matthews was only 20 points behind, so a 3rd place run compared to a 6th place run, that would potentially give, that's going to be very close for the points lead actually, because Nathan Buchanan, he wrecked out very early in the race. Eric Blaze didn't even make the show. This is going to be uber close in the points battle for GT Daytona going into Watkins Glen on Saturday. Between Dylan Matthews and Rogel Dorn as well. Dorn was only 13 points behind these drivers. We're going to have potentially a 3-way tie for first. Or 3 drivers at least be under a blanket with one another for the points lead. Bradley Ream on track. Harrison Fox down the pit lane. 5, count 'em, 5 laps to go here in the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic. Priya McShane will see 5 digits displayed from the flag stand as well as she tries to maneuver around the 72 of Carson Miller. Miller fighting hard, however. And McShane trying to find a way around that 72. Rogel Dorn seeing this is exactly what he needs out in front of him. Is McShane having issues? Alexander Rowe now out of the race. He has been involved in an accident. Same thing with Joey Hightower. Those two got together. Meanwhile, for the race lead, McShane losing a lot of time. Rogel Dorn only about half a car length off the back end of the 22. He's right on the rear bumper of that Pennzoil car. He goes wide through 5. He doesn't get the run whatsoever. McShane does. That could be the race right there for the GT Daytona win. Although McShane didn't get as good of a run as Carson Miller did. Bradley Ream still holding on to a really good lead in GT Le Mans, but in GT Daytona, it is nothing but chaos. McShane still not able to get around Carson Miller through turn 10. 4 laps to go. Does she finally have a ledge? She does not. Again, Miller trying to stay on the lead lap. Now McShane will get around the 72. Can Rogel Dorn do the same? He might get stuck behind him, and that might be curtains. Caleb Rose also out of the race. Rose has retired, an issue with the 5. They are dropping like flies here in Canada. That might be the end of the afternoon for Rogel Dorn's chances of getting his first win in that Cohen Trucking Line 75, or will it? He's got to have a good run through 5. Coming around to 3 laps to go. McShane has the inside. Dorn, he just cannot put the power down on the outside. And lo and behold, Dylan Matthews is back in the picture. I don't think she's going to be battling for the race win, but she could be battling for second here relatively soon. 3 laps to go. Aaron Abel down the pit lane. He had to come down. Oh boy. Abel, who was running in the 6th position. I believe he's going to fall down the order a lot. That is not good when it comes to this championship battle. Again, a lot of time to go, but at Watkins Glen, literally anything can happen at Watkins Glen. We have seen in the past anything happen at Watkins Glen. And last thing you want is just to put yourself in a bad position at the Glen. Kyle Wood has closed in by 0.6 of a second the last 5 laps, but coming around to sticks high in the air and 2 to go. I feel bad. We have barely talked about GTLM all day long. But Bradley Ream has been on rails so far. It will be 28 laps led this next time by. He does have Will Parrish and Connor Monaco to try and navigate around. Sticks high in the air, 2 laps to go here at Mosport for Bradley Ream. Back in GT Daytona, they have caught up to the 98 of Aaron Abel. Abel now holding up Priya McShane. We got two battles to watch out for. Abel holding up the 22, and he's going to send her into the wall. McShane around. Rogel Dorn drives on through, and the leader in GT Daytona around with 2 to go. She just needed 2 more clean laps to get the race win, and it's all down the toilet for Priya McShane. Heartbreak has been the #1 thing on the menu all day long, and it just struck the 22 team hard. Meanwhile, Bradley Ream, not a good exit off 5. He does have a big gap over the 49. That may have been tactical of Bradley Ream to just find a way to not get around this 93 car. Now Rogel Dorn in the catbird seat coming around to the white flag. Can Dylan Matthews get up there in time? McShane still trying to labor around. I don't know if she's going to be able to make it to the end. And can Rogel Dorn make it to the end? Bradley Ream, white flag in the air. One more time around the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And I think with all the world crumbling around Bradley Ream, he is just trying to get that Boston Red Sox car to the end. Rogel Dorn will also take the white flag. Dylan Matthews, however, has gained in a lot on that 75. If she had maybe 1 or 2 more laps, I could see the vision for her to make it to the end. And this is gonna be a great points battle for GT Daytona coming into Watkins Glen on Saturday. A lot of beef transpiring from this race in both classes, and you know what? It's incredible that we're only racing here in a couple more days, so the beef is not gonna have a whole lot of time to quell. But up down the Mario Andretti straightaway for the final time today. Bradley Ream with a 6-second lead over the 49. Just needs to get around 2 more corners. Connor Monaco, oop, nearly got him there. Ream trying to find a way around Monaco. It's not going to matter. Off turn 10 for the first time in his FMGTC career. Bradley Ream, a winner in GT Le Mans. He wins the Canada Day Classic. And for GT Daytona, Dylan Matthews closed in a lot, but it's not going to matter. They don't ask how you get the win. They just ask you win the last lap. Checkered flag in the air. Rogel Dorn in his 6th career start, a winner here in Canada. So the Pineville, North Carolinian of Bradley Ream and the Amsterdam Dutchman of Rogel Dorn, your winners here in Canada. And what a race we had here tonight. Bradley Ream wins, leads 30 laps of 62 to dominate the back end of the race. Once Bruno Giacomo's issues came out, that was it. And for Dylan Matthews, 1 position short of winning this race. And you gotta think, if she came down 1 lap sooner, she would still have fresher tires than Rogel Dorn. And she would beat out that 75 car. I feel like Dylan Matthews would be the winner of this race. Priya McShane, credit to her. She's still gonna gain 3rd. She stayed out after that kerfuffle coming to the 2 lap to go mark. But she loses 2 spots, and the dominant car in the late stages of this race will fail to finish here today in the #1 spot. But Bradley Ream will be the one to get the job done here in Canada. And what a race. What an end to the race we had there in the last handful of laps. It's Bradley Ream, like we talked about, leads 30 laps en route to his first career win in the Mission Barbecue Cup, in the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship. And Chevy Power Racing, all those drivers have been on a heater. Bradley Ream getting his first win of 2026. Kyle Wood and Nathan Stapleton. Where did Nathan Stapleton come from? He finishes in third. Russell Blaze, Chris Harvey, after being on that alternate strategy, the 8 car will finish in 5th. Angel Gutierrez and Mateus Bento will round out the GT Daytona car, the GT Le Mans cars that were on the lead lap. Same thing with Owen Miles, who will finish in 8th after Caleb Rose had some issues. And then Rogel Dorn, Dylan Matthews, Priya McShane, your podium for GT Daytona. Where did Ryan Durrani come from? We did not talk about the first ever winner of this race pretty much all day. He finishes in the 4th spot, and Logan Alexander somehow ends up with a top 5, surviving all the chaos. And look at the slew of cars that were knocked out from this race. Goodness me. What a race we had. Aaron Abel retired from the race. He's going to plummet down the standings. This is going to be a great battle going into Watkins Glen for the GT Daytona points lead. And most sport never disappoints. You know what else isn't going to disappoint? Watkins Glen on Saturday on the 4th of July, the 250th birthday of the United States, and with the added handful of laps, as we have gone from 68 laps to 73 laps at Watkins Glen. Those extra few laps are going to matter up in the Finger Lakes, and that's going to be a ton of fun. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. That's not a one way to end the first half of the season. I really don't know what will be. But first half of the season is done, second half right on the horizon. That'll do it here from the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Congratulations once again to Bradley Ream and Rogel Dorn for winning the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic. This Thursday, we're back in the saddle with the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, as both those drivers will look for their first wins in Cup cars here in 2026. Coverage from the Boston International Speedway for the Craftsman Pride 500. Round number 4 of the 2026 Duncan Month of Speed will air at noon Eastern Time here this Thursday afternoon, right here on the NASRN. The next time we'll see the FMGTC will be in less than a week on America's 250th birthday. Coverage for the Firecracker at the Glen from Watkins Glen International will air on Saturday, July 4th at noon Eastern Time, right here on the NASRN once again. But thank you once again for tuning into today's coverage of the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship. Here are your point standings after race number 6 of the 2026 FMGTC season. And from Bowmanville, Ontario, on behalf of the entire North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a great evening, folks, and have a happy Canada Day. We'll see y'all on Saturday afternoon for race number 7 of the season here on America's 250th birthday.